Hi everyone, here we are in section 3.2. We're graphing linear equations. And so let's get started on that. Well, first we have to talk about linear equations. So an equation is linear if it can be written in the form ax plus by equals c. There can't be any exponents on the y or the x except 1, and when there's nothing, that means there's 1. And so if it's an equation like x equals y to the third, this one is not linear, and because it has an exponent of 3 on the y. Now the first equation is linear, even though it's not written as ax plus by equals c. This is another proper way to write an equation. And the y has an exponent of 1, so does the x, so this equation is linear. The next equation just says x equals 25. That's also okay, and it is linear even though it doesn't have a y, but this one is a linear equation because it is actually the equation of a vertical line. The next one, y equals x squared. This is actually a parabola. It has a 2 as an exponent, so this one is not linear. So any line or any equation that makes a straight line is going to be a linear equation. And if there are other exponents in there besides a 1, then those are not going to be linear equations. Okay, so we're going to graph this one. It says for each equation, find 3 ordered pair solutions by completing the table, then use the ordered pairs to graph the equation. So we're just going to substitute in. Notice on the first one, we're going to substitute 0 in for y. And then you can see that this is just gone because we put a 0 in, so x equals 6. On the next one, we put in 4 for the x. I probably should put parentheses around what I'm substituting so you can see what that is. And then we have to solve this equation. That's why you had to learn to solve equations before this chapter. So we subtract the 4, and then negative y equals 2, divide by negative 1. That thing keeps doing that. Divide by negative 1, and we see that y equals negative 2. So what we say here is when x is 4, y equals 2. And then on the last ordered pair, we're going to substitute negative 1 for y, so x minus negative 1 is equal to 6. Well, that makes that a positive 1. X plus 1 equals 6. Oh, it doesn't let me write down here. Let me move this. So I'm going to try to make it up a little bit higher. X minus negative 1 equals 6, which means x plus 1. And then you subtract the 1 to solve, and you see that x is 5. So on this, when y equals negative 1, x is 5. And then, of course, we have to put this on the graph. Right, we have to graph each ordered pair. 6, 0 is right on the x-axis because the y is 0, so it's not moving up or down. And then 4, 2. Now, when you graph these, if you don't end up with a straight line, you know that you've made a mistake somewhere. And then we have 5, negative 1. All right, where did I make a mistake? Oh, that's supposed to be a negative 2. So yeah, I said divide by negative 1, and then I never wrote this as a negative 2, and you can see that's where you can make some errors. And so right away I was noticing, hey, this isn't working. All right, so there's the 4, negative 2, not positive 2, and then I have 5, negative 1, and you can see these make a line. I'm going to try to draw a line, which is not always easy to get it straight. I can't use a ruler on this, so that's about the best I can do, I guess. All right, next. I'm not advancing too well here. So on this one, we have noticed that everything was chosen was an x, which makes sense because this says y equals negative 5 times x. So this is going to go very quickly because each time we're going to have negative 5 times a number. On the first one, we're going to have negative 5 times 1, and that's just negative 5. Y equals negative 5 times 0, and that gives me a 0. Y equals negative 5 times negative 1, and that gives me a 5. And so when I graph these, hopefully this time they'll be in a straight line. So we're at 1, negative 5, 0, 0, and -1, 5. Oh boy, these are nice and strung out, so that makes it hard for me to draw this line. I actually have tried using a ruler. I'm going to try that. Okay, so we want to draw the line to hit, whoops, come back, to hit all these points. Well, that was somewhat of a line. I'm going to try it one more time. Well, it's a little off there, as you can see. I'm actually trying to use this rubbery kind of ruler that I have to draw these lines. So it's a problem to draw, you know, if you're teaching on a whiteboard or teaching on the surface, either one, it's kind of hard to draw the lines sometimes. All right, so I'm going to stop the video here because we're almost to 6 minutes, and then I'll pick up again with some more graphing.